乱开。
In the year 255 BC, in a western Chinese country called Qin, there lived an orphan boy named Shin. At that time, Shin was planned to be taken to the village and sold as a slave. On the way, he was amazed when he saw the cavalry led by a great sky general. Arriving at a small village, Shin was reunited with another slave named Piao. Since then, Shin and Piao began to be friends. They really wanted to escape from slave status and dreamed of becoming a great general in the future. Because of that, the two began practicing swords together until they grew up. One day, a Qin royal minister named Chang Ween Jun accidentally saw them while practicing. Unexpectedly, Minister Jun was interested in Piao's abilities, so he was recruited to work in the palace. Shin, who was left behind, never felt discouraged. Piao's departure actually made him practice harder so that later he could also be recruited by the royal minister. A few days later, Shin was surprised by the arrival of Piao, who was badly injured. Piao said that in the Qin royal palace, there was a rebellion carried out by the king's younger brother. There was a power struggle between the two brothers, so now Piao was also a victim. Then Piao took out a map and told Shin to go to the meeting point he had marked. Shin, who was still confused, did not understand all of Piao's explanations. What was certain was that now he had to hurry away before the royal troops found him. With a heavy heart, Shin was forced to leave Piao's body and was determined to take revenge on whoever had done this to his best friend. Long story short, Shin finally arrived at the meeting point. There he was very surprised to see a young man who looked a lot like Piao. He turned out to be the king of the Qin kingdom named Yingzheng. Not yet had time for Shin to ask anything. He and the king were suddenly attacked by a hitman sent by the king's younger brother Ying. In order to protect the king, Shin began to practice all the swordsmanship he had learned to fight the hitman. And finally, thanks to his sword skills, Shin managed to kill his enemy. Because of the rebellion carried out by his younger brother, for now King Ying can only escape because he has been separated from his troops, well before leaving with Shin. They also met a girl from the mountain tribe named Helo Diao. Helo also offered to be a direction for them in exchange for some money. In the middle of the trip, King Ying explained that from the beginning when he was found, Piao was prepared to replace the king's position in times of danger. Because their faces were very similar, so Piao could be used to protect the real king. Now, King Ying's younger brother, Chang has rebelled by attacking the king and taking control of the Qin kingdom. The explanation actually made Shin very angry. He was disappointed because the kingdom seemed not to value Piao's life, but for now he had to trace the problem point first before later he took revenge. The scene then switches to show the conditions in the Qin palace. Chang, as the holder of the throne, gets the news that the hitman he sent was found dead. He was disappointed to find out the fact that King Ying was still alive out there. Moreover, the minister Chang Wen, King Ying's confidant, has also not been found until now. Shortly thereafter, the great sky general named General Wang Qi came to face Chang. He brought the head of Chang Wen and asked for a reward in the form of Chang Wen's territory being handed over to him easily. Seng Zhao immediately agreed to the request. The most important thing for him at the moment is to get rid of King Ying's confidants, so that later he can also be easier to get rid of. Long story short, King Ying, Shin, and Diao finally arrived in the territory of the mountain people. As they began to pass through the bamboo forest, the three of them were again attacked by a mercenary assassin. Although he felt overwhelmed, but in the end, Shin managed to defeat the assassin, even though he was also hit by one of the poisonous arrows that made him faint. A few days later, Shin finally regained consciousness after receiving herbal treatment from Diao. At that time, King Ying took him to hide in an ancient headquarters of the Qin kingdom that had long been unused. Then King Ying told Shin that he and Chang actually had different mothers. King Ying's mother, who was a dancer, made Chang think that King Ying did not deserve the throne because his status was only half noble. This is what finally triggered the rebellion until the civil war as it is today. Soon after King Ying's troops, led by Chang Wen finally arrived at the place, if Chang Wen was still alive, whose head did General Wang Qi bring? It is certain that General Wang Qi deliberately took advantage of the situation in the palace to get what he wanted, even though he had to lie to Chang. Now the remaining troops of King Ying are willing to escort the king to reclaim his throne. In the royal palace, seen Chang, who has gathered 80,000 soldiers to kill King Ying, and his troops and dethroned Counselor Lobui, who has been siding with King Ying. Back to King Ying and his troops. They also began to form a strategy so that they could enter the palace. The Lobui counselor they expected would not be able to help them because he was also eyeing the throne. After a long discussion, they tried to ask for help from the mountain tribe, a former ally of the Qin royal family who had been betrayed centuries ago. After a long journey, King Ying and his troops arrived at the territory of the mountain people. There, they were captured and brought before the king of the mountain tribe, named Yang Duanhe. There, Yang Duanhe ordered one of his troops to behead Shin, but Shin resisted with his sword skills. Shin tried to explain to Yang Duanhe that although these two regions were former allies, but at least they still had the same goal. If they really wanted to honor the ancestors who had sacrificed their lives, then at least they had to complete the goals and hopes of the ancestors. Shin's words impressed the chieftain, so he took off his mask and agreed to ally with King Ying. Long story short, King Ying and his soldiers finally arrived at the royal palace, disguised as part of the mountain tribe. King Yang Duanhe came there to offer Cheng Jiao an alliance against Lo Bui. Upon hearing the request, Zixi, as Cheng Jiao's advisor, only allowed 50 people to enter the palace. After King Ying and his troops managed to enter the palace, they also started the attack and divided the tasks according to the plan. Shin, Diao, and several troops were sent through the underground passage. King Ying and King Yang Duanhe and all his troops were then intercepted by the royal troops. As well as Shin's troops were also intercepted by General Zuoqi and a large creature named Lang Kai. With good cooperation, Shin and others managed to defeat Lang Kai and several royal troops. A fierce battle also took place outside. The two kings both fought for their honor by killing so many troops. Long story short, Shin and the others finally arrived inside the palace. Cheng Jiao sent General Zuoqi to face them. As a result, the duel between Zuoqi and Shin was inevitable. Although at the beginning of the fight, Shin was underestimated because he was considered unlikely to be able to defeat a general. But the memory of Piao and faith in his dreams managed to raise Shin, so that he also managed to defeat General Zuoqi. Seeing the situation, Zixi tried to save Cheng Jiao, but his eyes were stabbed by Diao. Zixi then returned the attack, but Zixi ended up being killed by the mountain tribe troops. Fortunately, Diao was not injured at all because of the help of the armor he wore. Outside, Cheng Jiao faced the King of Ying. King Ying could easily defeat Cheng Jiao. After his victory, the King of Ying was again faced with several troops who still supported Cheng Jiao, until finally General Wang Qi came to meet King Ying. General Wang Qi asked King Ying what he would do as king. King Ying replied that he planned to be the first king to unify China, and he vowed to use his power to ensure peace in the future. General Wang Qi was very satisfied with the king's answer. He decided to ally with King Ying and ordered Cheng Jiao's troops to retreat. When the troops did not listen to his orders, General Wang Qi also showed a little ability to face them all, until finally, the battle ended with the death of the general who was killed by Shin. The moment was used by Shin to convey his dream of becoming a great sky general in the future. Wang Qi, who heard that, immediately smiled and said that he would wait for Shin on the real battlefield. With that victory, King Ying managed to reclaim his throne and began to organize the kingdom for the next goal. And the movie was finally finished. So that's the whole storyline of Kingdom. Hopefully, friends understand the storyline that I convey, and see you in the next storyline.